There is a difference.
Yeah.
You're talking to somebody that doesn't even have the ability to process truly what you're actually saying.
No.
Yes. And I'm an adult right now, so I can comprehend what my husband is telling me. Now, if somebody on the street told me that, we're going to have words.
Like,
Right.
okay.
And I would probably, that's inappropriate.
Because it's unsolicited.
Yes.
I think you just have to think about like the level of audacity, but the level of entitlement people have to feel to think about your body that way or want to tell you about your body that way, especially when you're a child. Like, I need you to work on your predator that's inside of you and to stop giving that to all of us. Stop handing it out.
And I think the people that are making, like family members that make some of these comments truly with good intention, you have to work on your delivery.
Yes.
Welcome to the Recycle Podcast, where we discuss everyday issues from a mental health perspective. We are your hosts, Dr. Rashonda Strickland,
Dr. LaFanya Jones-Hines,
and Dr. Nichelle Wall. Welcome back to session 121. That's that thick. Today's mood music is brought to you by the voluptuous Beyonce Giselle Knowles Carter, and the song is Thique.
Honorable mention.
Oh Lord, here we go.
I don't even know what the name of the rapper is.
Thique is the name of the song,
but I don't know the name of the song because she thick. Thick.
So I don't believe this one needs a definition either. So
I like these.
I know, right? So my question is being thick a compliment?
So I will say personally, as a child or a teenager, I would have said no. I would have thought that person was calling me fat. As an adult, given the way the world works now, I'd be like, for real? Okay. And I'd be excited about it. You know, hashtag little booties matter.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, as a kid, I would have been like, why are you talking to me? Because I didn't talk to people like that growing up, and I would have thought it was weird. But as an adult woman, then yeah, I do think that it is a compliment, but I think it also depends on who's telling it to me, and is it unsolicited? You know,
I like those.
If that makes sense.
I like those extras.
So I agree with both of you ladies. I believe when I was actively dancing, I would have not seen it as a compliment because in my mind, every time I heard the word thick being associated with a woman, it seemed like she was bigger bone. And being a dancer, I was like, I can't be like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, that is a stigma for dancers. Like, I can't look like that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You drop from the line.
Exactly. So, but as an adult woman, I'm not hippie or ass out. So whenever it has been associated with me, I've always still considered it to be that I'm fat because I'm not hippie and I don't have a big butt.
Did
You
y'all
got
hear
curves
that
other
cuss word?
places. You got curves.
Dr. Wall, please zoom in on my face when you edit.
I'll pray about it.
Did you see y'all heard it? She opened the floodgates again. Thank you. Agree though. I agree with you. I think, society, let me backtrack. I think this is specific to Black and brown originally. And I think it is now being opened up to white and Caucasian, or, that covers a large category. But I think that is being opened up. But, thick has not always been seen as a bad thing within our community.
Right.
It's actually usually a good thing.
Yeah.
It also shows your wealth back in the day. Because if you were small and skinny, that shows that you couldn't afford to eat. Like if we're talking about like old school, hundreds of years ago.
And I agree.
Yes. And that's the thing. Like since I've become an adult woman and I actually have not been actively dancing, I do consider that to be a compliment, because I tell Dr. Wall all the time I love her curves. And I don't have
She's trying to take my hips, y'all.
Yeah, I
mean,
do. I try to take her hips.
She could share.
Yes. But I love it. And so, I would consider a woman with a shape like Dr. Wall to be thick, but I think that's so beautiful.
Yes. Now in my older age,
Exactly.
I do, definitely.
Exactly.
Well, thank y'all.
Yes. Now, but I can only imagine the difficulty and struggle of a young girl
Yeah.
having a very voluptuous shape, whether that is top heavy, bottom heavy, or both. And all of I can imagine there's shame that gets attached with having a voluptuous body.
Definitely.
If you are not in a home that really knows how to take care of that and cater and support it, that you would feel a lot of shame about the way you look.
Definitely.
Yeah, because I think if you grow up in a home where you're shamed because of your body, it can be a definite self-esteem killer. And it can make you feel like you're doing something wrong, which is how some eating disorders can develop.
Absolutely.
Definitely. And just to have a side note, we definitely want to send out our love, support, and courage to all of the people fighting in Iran right now for their rights back, because there's a lot happening in that country, and just sending prayers and love out to you guys.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. I think for me growing up, I saw both sides of it. I saw the good and I also saw the bad. Like, my family was very supportive. My grandfather was in like the medical field, so he would give me the medical side of stuff. My mom was very supportive about me having good body image and things like that. I also was a dancer and things like that, but I started developing around 10. You know what I mean? And so when you're 10, you over here playing with Barbie dolls and toys and trucks and things. Like, I wasn't thinking about no breast buds and hips and things like that. But if I hadn't had the mom that I had, I think I could have really, been put in some very compromising situations. Because let's just be honest, school children are not the kindest at all. They are a hot mess. Or I could have used my body for bad. So I'm very appreciative of my mom taking me to the stores and saying, okay, this is how you properly wear a bra, and this is what undergarments you need to wear. This is how you put this on. This is how you do this, because that meant the world to me to be able to dress my body in a way that flattered it instead of me having to hide it.
And she didn't shame you.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, I didn't develop, hips and behind, but my breasts were developing. I started wearing training bras when I was in the 3rd grade. So I started developing, but my mom, of course, my mom noticed it, and so she was like, yeah, we got to go get you some training bras.
So funny, because we're all so different, because I was a late bloomer, like super late. Now, while, of course, as far as cycles is concerned, I was on par with my peers, but the secondary characteristics, way late, like in my 20s. Like, so if anything, I had the opposite of being, very straight up and down and flat. And I was actually made fun of because of that.
On the other end.
On the other end, for being very flat. Which, when in the Black community, that's a hard thing to, you don't look like everybody else. Or the type of people that are attracted to you are not necessarily the type of people you're attracted to.
Yeah.
Yes. And with that, there's a lot of people that probably need to be in the cell with R. Kelly.
Yeah.
Because of my development in this, area, I got a lot of unwanted attention from older guys.
Absolutely.
And
It's predatory.
and it of course made me uncomfortable. And because up until my junior year, I dressed like a boy. I was a tomboy.
Gotcha.
I did not like. I remember once I danced with the pom pom. Well, of course, people saw my shape because I was a majorette. So them little skimpy little things, uniforms that we had to wear. But this one particular time, I performed with the pom pom girls, and I had on. We had to wear hip huggers, and so nobody had ever seen like my shape outside of having my majorette suit on. And so when they saw my little shape in the hip huggers, they was like, "Oh my God." Cause like all the guys, like, I mean, I still think I had a flat butt, but they was like, "Wait a minute, that ain't supposed to be there, cause you always wearing baggy clothes." Yeah. So, but I hid it because when I was in junior high, I had a coat. You remember those bodysuits that snapped before they back out? I wore one of those, and my breasts looked huge. In that, and I had a coach to say, "Damn, LaFine, your titties big."
No, coach.
That's what I said. I was like, "Coach," and he was like, "I'm just saying they are."
Yeah, you shouldn't be sharing that. You should have kept that on the inside.
Yeah, that should have stayed in the draft.
Your
sir.
inside came outside.
Exactly.
Oh,
but still, those were unwanted compliments that made me feel, because I didn't wear it no more.
Now that will be something that I would say. I was not, I'm still not necessarily shapely, but I was not a shapely young child or adolescent, but my legs are extremely like toned
and long.
So if anything, that was the attention that I received.
Them that era, they was looking at them legs.
Right. And I think there's an element of light skin privilege that kind of layers on top of that too, because, that's just the way the world works, unfortunately. So that was a lot of the compliment that I got. If I was walking with my homegirls on the street and we were wearing shorts and things like that, getting yelled at by older men like, "Hey, legs."
Yeah.
Things like that. Yeah. I actually had
or red or yellow.
Now that for sure. Just nasty.
I know.
But I had an old man. And when I say old, I mean
grandpa age,
like old. At Chick-fil-A one time. And I had on a dress. Now, thank goodness I was an adult, but I was a young adult. So, when you're a young adult, you still kind of got that like baby, cheeky, fat face. And this old man walked up to me in Chick-fil-A and said, he said, "Oh, you wearing that dress?" And I was like, "Excuse me?" He said, "Yeah, you got legs for days. When I was back in your age, I would have come for you." And I was like, okay. Like, you don't even know what to say, because this man was clearly somewhere in his 70s or 80s. I mean, he was way older. And in comparison to his age and what I probably looked like, it was highly inappropriate because I may have been like 23, 24 at the time. But to somebody that's
19, 18.
Right, to somebody that's in their 70s or 80s, you probably look way younger than what you actually are.
Yeah.
And just thinking about, like you're old enough to be my great grandparent probably, and you would come up to
especially
a complete stranger
and say
something like that.
It's the audacity,
right?
I was watching a TikTok yesterday, and she was like, women have uteruses, so what is in that space on men, because nothing is right there. She said, "Oh, I found it. It's where the audacity lives." It's like, yes, girl.
Yes.
For me personally, I feel like my communities were pretty good as far as that. But really where I got a lot of my body related trauma from, even with me being a dancer, was from church. I would have people come up to me and say, "Oh, you're dressed inappropriately." Now mind you, I'm the girl who will wear something that is to my ankles. Or if I have on something that is like shorter, I do the fingertip test. Like they can attest, like I will still do the fingertip test now. I will bend all the way over because some things that you were raised with just don't leave you.
Yeah.
So I remember having some men and women at church come up to me saying things like, "Oh, you just out here being fast, or you think this or you think that." And I'm like, as an adult looking back on those encounters, why would y'all ever fix y'all mouths to say that to a young, impressionable girl?
Yeah.
And y'all have already been through these stages, so you know how difficult it is to figure out what your self-identity is, have self-worth, self-value. But it was honestly the church that gave me a lot of that trauma.
Yeah. And you have no idea what a person is doing. You're making an assumption based off of what
their body looks like,
What
which they
my-
have no control over.
literally.
I was like, have y'all not seen these jeans?
It's in my DNA.
Right.
There's nothing I can do about that. You know, I said I was made fun of for being more flat when I was younger, and that came from my first boyfriend's family.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I actually had never really even thought about being flat chested
You was
or
like, I'm just me.
Yeah, I was just me and my friends, and we just kind of hung out, you know, and people always found my face very attractive. So I never really had people comment on my body until I started dating this person, and his family actually started like heavily talking about, about a whole lot of things. But that was one thing in particular that I just didn't have a big old behind. Now, they were very shapely in his family, very voluptuous women, probably borderline almost
On the other side.
On the other side. But you can tell when they were young, they would have been very, very
They got
shapely.
them Coke bottles.
Yes. So I never had a complex about that, on myself until then. Up until that, it just was not something that registered with me because I hadn't, and even then after that, I never had a problem dating, but it wasn't something that I became conscious of and actually started trying to do things about until that relationship. So I think it goes even into, I think it starts with when people are young, very young, and you're looking at a child as an adult, but they're not. But
Sexualizing
But the
them.
way it continues on into adulthood is just as sickening.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, it starts in childhood, and people forget that children have feelings. And
They are alive.
they are a whole human. Yes.
They don't just become functional once they get to 18. Like,
Right.
that's not how any of this
No.
works.
Right. And so you're making statements like any of the statements that were made to us, and you give us a complex. You give us some sort of, even if, now if my husband would say the same
That's
comment
different.
than my coach. Of course I'm saying it I'm seeing it as a compliment, but that's from my husband, and it's wanted.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a difference. There is a difference.
Yeah.
You're talking to somebody that doesn't even have the ability to process truly what you're actually saying.
Oh.
Yes. And I'm an adult right now, so I can comprehend what my husband is telling me. Now, if somebody on the street told me that, we're going to have words.
Like,
Right.
okay.
And I would probably, that's inappropriate.
Because it's unsolicited.
Yes.
I think you just have to think about like the level of audacity, but the level of entitlement people have to feel to think about your body that way or want to tell you about your body that way, especially when you're a child. Like, I need you to work on your predator that's inside of you and to stop giving that to all of us. Stop handing it out.
And I think the people that are making, like family members that make some of these comments truly with good intention, you have to work on your delivery.
Yes.
So even if you're coming from a place of like, I want to protect, like I want to protect my daughter or even my son, because some boys develop very fast. They develop facial hair very quickly,
Voice change,
muscles. They get very tall, so they can look older than what they actually are. So if your intention is to protect your child, you have to watch how you say this to them.
Yeah.
So that you don't create complexes and insecurities that then in adulthood, they spend money, time, and resources trying to correct.
Yeah. When there's really nothing to correct.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't like it.
Yeah. That's some scary stuff.
So interns, talk to your children.
Or children that you know.
Yeah, or children that you know about being comfortable in their own skin and body.
Yeah. Agreed.
Help them understand what it means to take care of the body that they have and to, clothe it correctly, eat properly for it. Just everything, because these things have to either be taught or they're going to be learned in life lessons, and them life lessons sometimes be too hard. They be taking us out.
Yes.
And allow them to feel comfortable coming to you and telling you if an inappropriate comment was made that made them feel uncomfortable, so that you can then address it. Because obviously most parents teach their children to respect their adults or adults around them. So if they are not comfortable confronting it themselves, then make sure they feel comfortable coming to tell you so that you can confront it.
Yes. Don't turn it around on them as if they did something to
warrant it.
Yes, going to say seduce an adult.
Like they're a kid. How they know how to seduce anybody?
That's
dumb.
Stupid. Get me started on that.
Yeah, because we could have a whole separate session about that, but
Yeah.
that's not what we're talking about today. No. But I agree with you, ladies, and I don't even know if there's any more to say beyond that.
No.
We're gonna keep the MMB a surprise, y'all. We'll let you know when we record it.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So y'all know we always end off with a quote.
And this quote is by the beautiful and amazing Serena Williams. Since I don't look like every other girl, it takes a while to be okay with that, to be different, but different is good.